Hi guys, today I would like to invite you to the SQL course for the beginners. We are going to learn some basics of SQL, so even you have no idea what the SQL is, I think this is the right place for you. We are going to learn SQL with the use of our latest product, which is SQL Sandbox. You can see it on my screen, and to get there, you can use the link from the description. When you click the link, you need to log into our platform and you will get the access to the SQL Sandbox then. SQL Sandbox allows you to work in two modes. We can create a database and just open it, but it will give us an empty database without any data and tables. Or we can prepare a database for an exercises set, and then we will have some structure which is designed specifically for a given set of exercises. We are going to use those two modes in a little bit of a mix because first of all, we are going to prepare a database which will create a table for us. Okay, let's do it. And then we are not going to open any exercises, but if you would like to do them, I strongly encourage you to do so after our lesson. We are just going to open a database now. And in this way, we should have a database with this basic structure prepared for basic select exercises set, and then we can use it to learn some SQL with that easily. Okay, let's open the database. Let me show you what we have here. So the SQL Sandbox have this SQL editor, which you can see right now, and it's built out of a couple of elements. The first one and the most important one is this area here. This is a workspace where we are going to put all the SQL queries which we will be using. On the left side, there is a tools panel, and this tools panel has a list of tables. So as you can see, after clicking this prepare database operation on the previous screen, it has created this customers table for us, and it has a couple of columns inside. And we are going to use this table for the purpose of this course, and also some other things, but they are not really relevant, and we don't need to mention what they can do. So basically, let's start with the SQL. First of all, what is SQL? SQL is a language which allows you to build queries, to modify and interact and get and delete some data which is stored inside a relational database. And relational database is a database which allows you to keep your data in a structured way. And those structures are tables. And those tables are related to each other. And that's why this database is called relational. So, long story short, inside the database, you have a list of tables. Those tables are built out of rows and columns, and they can be linked to each other. That's, I think, pretty much everything you need to know to start working with SQL. If you're interested in more detailed and more scientific explanation of what SQL is, I'm sure you can find it somewhere in the Google or somewhere else, but I think it's not relevant really. Okay, let's start with the most basic SQL query you can ever construct, and this is select query. So let's click in the workspace, let's type in select, now this sign, and now from customers. And before I will explain any of this, I will just click execute, and we'll see that as a result of that query, we get a nice table with a data extracted out from the customers table. So let me explain what this query do. First of all, select keyword informs that we are going to extract data, get some data from a table. This star means that the operation is going to return all of the columns which these tables have. So it's kind of a shortcut, because we could approach that query a little bit differently with a longer syntax, but this is a shorter way to tell the engine that just give me all the columns which are there for that particular table. From keyword is to mark from which source we are going to select our data from, and customers is the name of a table. You can see it here. This is just a table which have some rows inside it. It has actually 100 rows. You can see it on the left side in the tools panel. And we have picked all of these rows with the select statement. So basically, select constructed like this returns us all the content of the table. And we can see that we have rows in here. Below my picture, you could see that there is a panel which allows you to pick how many rows per item you would like to see. We can increase that. We can scroll down and we can see that there are 2 pages, and basically we have extracted 100 rows out of our table. I can go to the next page and that's it. So this is how select statement work. We can, of course, extract only some of the columns out of that. Right now we have picked them all, but we can specify which ones we are interested in. So let's do it. Let's pick maybe first name and last name out of the customers table. To do it, we just need to modify the select statement, and instead that we just need to give a list separated by the commas of the columns which we would like to extract from the table. And let's do it. Let's put in the first name and the last name. And when we execute this query, we will see that right now the result we get from our table is first name and last name of every single customer stored inside the table. We can, of course, extend this list and, for example, add an email here and execute now. And we see that right now we have 3 columns. Very nice. What would happen if we would like to try to extract a column which doesn't exist? We can check it out. So let's put name in here. There is no such column as name. You can see all the columns on the left side in here. So there is a first name, last name, but there is no name in here. So let's try to execute query, which looks like that. Execute it. And we see that the SQL engine has returned an error with some short description. No such column, name. So name column doesn't exist. If you would work with a query which doesn't work but gives you an error description which is not clear to you, you can always use our Smart Assistant to explain what's wrong. Smart Assistant has access to the structure of your database, so it knows all the columns you have in your database, and it will be able to explain you in details what exactly has gone wrong with your SQL and how to fix it. So you can use it if you'd like. I think it's a nice addition to the SQL editor. So we are able to pick some columns out of the table. This is very useful, but what is not that useful is the fact that we always, no matter what, we always extracting the whole table. And maybe it's okay if the table has only 100 rows, but if you would imagine a table which has like 100,000 rows, it would be very time consuming to extract all the information out of it, and probably not very useful, because most of the time when we are working with databases, we want to get some specific piece of information, and to get it we need to simply filter for it. And how to do it? It's very easy to do with SQL, because SQL gives us the where keyword. Where keyword allows us to extend the select query with some conditions how we would like to extract the data and which data we would like to get. So let's do some basic where query. Okay, so we are going to modify this select a little bit to pick all the columns. So I will replace the list of columns with that. And right now, to add the filtration part, we just need to type in where. This is a keyword from SQL. And now we need to specify our condition. And let's start with something simple. So maybe let's start with a filter which will extract customers whose name is John. How to do it? We just need to type in the column we would like to do the filter for. So first name, Okay, now the equal sign, like that. And now the value which we are looking for, so John. And let's execute it. And we see that we have one John in our table. His name is John, last name Doe, and he's from USA. This is how we can use and build the very basic where filter. Okay, what else can we do? Maybe we could, for example, find all the people who are from USA. How to do it? In the very same way. So first of all, we need to type in the name of the column we want to check, so the country. Now equal sign, and now the value we are looking for, so USA. And let's execute it. And we see that we have 3 people from the USA. That's very handy. How could we do an opposite filtration? So if we would like to find all the people who are not from the USA, and that's very simple as well, because we just need to use a different operator. So the equal operator is that one, and to make not equal, we just need to put in an exclamation mark in here, like that, just like that. So right now, our query should give us all the people from the outside of the USA. So let's try do it. And we see that we have much longer list right now. There are 97 records of people who are not from the USA. Okay, that's one of the operators we can use. The other operator allows us to compare values, to find values which are greater or less than something, greater or equal, or less or equal. So we could, for example, try to find all the people whose total order number is greater than 5. That's very easy to do. We just need to, as always, type in the name of the column we would like to check, so total orders. Now we just need to use greater than operator, which is this, and type in the value which we are looking for, which is 5. And let's execute it. And we see that we have a list of all the people who order more than 5 items. So 8, for example, 6, 7, 9, etc., etc. We can easily modify this query to give us people who have bought 5 or more items. And to modify it, we just need to replace this operator with another one. So just add an equal sign in here. And right now we are looking for the items which total order is greater or equal to 5. Execute it. And we see that it worked because we already see that there are some 5s in here. Very nice. And exactly the same way we can do the opposite thing. So we can find total orders smaller than 5. So let's do it and let's execute it. And we see that it worked again. The values seem correct. And the same way we can find less or equal to 5, which is like that. And execute it. And we see that it worked as well. There are, of course, more operators, and we are going to go through a couple of them. The next one on the list is the one which allows us to look for a specific values from a list. So, for example, if we would like to find all the people who ordered either 1 or 3 or 5 items, we can use in operator. In operator allows us to specify a list of values which we are interested in and which should be used to compare the actual value of the column. So let's try to use that. So we would like to find all the people whose total order number is either 1 or 3 or 5. So total orders in, and now we need to open brackets 1, 3, 5. So we need to specify the list of values which we are interested in and separate them with commas. And with the query like that, we should see all the people whose total orders is 5 or 1 or 3. And we have it. We obviously could achieve the exact same result a little bit differently, and I'm going to show you how in a couple of minutes. But for now, let's say that this is how we can achieve that as well. We obviously can use this in operator for different values as well. So for example, we could find all the people who live either in USA or in Canada or in UK. So it would be something like that. USA, Canada, and UK. We can of course specify more items than 3. We could have 5 or 10 or 1. It doesn't really matter. Let's execute it. And we see it didn't work. And obviously it have not worked because we have a wrong column name in here. So what we have tried to do is that we have tried to find all the customer whose total order is either USA or Canada or UK, and there are no such customers, and that's why the query ran successfully, but it has not returned any results because simply there are no customers like that. And to fix that, we just need to modify the name of this column which we are checking this value against, and it should be obviously country. And right now, when we execute it, we see that we get a list of all the people from that countries. Okay, in operator is here, and the other operator which is also very useful is like operator. Like operator allows us to check for strings values which match some particular pattern. For example, we could find all the people whose name starts with H or A or M. Doesn't really matter. Let's start maybe with finding a John. So as we used to do it, we have first name is equal to John. We can find it. And now we can find all the people whose first letter is as in John name, but we don't really care what the name is. We just want it to start with that exact letter. And we can do it with like operator. So I need to replace this equal with like. And the pattern which we are looking for is built like that here we have a letter which we are interested in. It should be at the beginning of the word. And after it, there is this percentage mark, which says that any characters combination or no characters is allowed to match this pattern. And when we run it, we see all the people whose name matches the exact pattern which we are looking for. We could find all the people whose names start with A, no problem. Let's execute it. And we see that we have a list of people with A in the name. And we can also find for more complicated patterns. So for example, the name should start with A, but it should end, let's say, with A as well. Okay. And let's see. And we see that we have a couple of names like this. We could look for a little bit more complicated even. So let's say that we would like to find all the names who start with A, who ends with A, but also who has M inside in the middle. Let's try it. And we see that Amelia is matching that pattern. We can also find for all the names who don't start with any specific letter or don't end with any specific letter, but have some specific letter or a longer combination of letters. For example, 2 letters, ME, let's say. We just need to use more percentages to show where should go those strings which we are not interested in. And let's try to run this query. And we see that we have Ahmed, James, and Amelia who match this exact pattern. That's quite a useful thing. So I hope you like this. I hope you like this like operator. Yeah. And right now, let's move to the next step, which is building filter part of the queries with more than one condition. How to achieve it? We can achieve it with 2 additional operators, or maybe keywords, which is AND keyword and or keyword. So basically, let's say that we would like to find all the people whose first name is Amelia and last name is Robinson. To do it, we need to specify first condition. So first name is equal to Amelia and last name is equal to Robinson. And let's execute it. And we see that we have one customer who matches that description, whose first name is Amelia and last name is Robinson. We could find all the people whose first name is Amelia or whose first name is John. And we see that there are 4 people who match the specific criteria. And we can give more conditions than just 2. Basically, we can give as many conditions as we would like to have. For example, I can look for all the people whose first name is Amelia and last name is Robinson, or first name is John and total orders is greater or equal 5. So as you see, I have first set of conditions, I have second set of conditions, and they are both connected with or keyword, which basically that either this part is met or this part is met for a record to match the query conditions. And let's execute it. And we see that we have a syntax error. Let's try to find it. I think I have just executed a selection, so that's why I had a syntax. When I have executed the whole script, it worked like a charm. So we see that there are 2 people who matches the criteria, John Doe and Amelia Robinson, and that's basically how it looks like. So, as I mentioned before, we have this example where we are looking for people whose total orders is either 1 or 3 or 5. And the other way to achieve the same result is obviously to use this OR keyword. So we can type in the query like this. Total order is equal to 1, or total order is equal to 3, or total order is equal to 5. And if we would execute that query, we see that we get the same results as when we executed the query with this in keyword. The only difference is the fact that this in keyword is a little bit more concise, so it doesn't take so much typing to build it. And I think that we are going to finish for today. I hope you like the lesson. I strongly encourage you to experiment with SQL more on your own. You can use all of those syntax which we have learned with this table and try to filter for different conditions. So maybe do some queries around emails, do some queries about date join, because you can also compare dates with this greater or lesser than operators. So you could, for example, try to find all the people who has joined between some 2 days. And I strongly suggest that you practice as much as possible, because this is the best way and probably the only way to actually acquire any practical skill. So I hope we'll see next time, and have a nice day. Bye-bye. Remember, the most important thing is practice. Without it, you won't learn SQL. So in case you run out of ideas how you can train how to use select with where queries, you can just always ask AI to generate some for you. So we just need to expand Smart Assistant panel and ask him nicely to prepare some exercises for us. So prepare 10 exercises where I will have to use select with some where conditions. We just send it, wait a little bit, and we start solving those exercises. Thank you guys. See you. Bye-bye.